Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into a literal cosmic ghost story. And no, I'm not talking about haunted houses, we're looking at a haunted solar system. We're going to explore this absolutely wild astrophysical theory that suggests a massive lost planet, a literal ghost planet that just doesn't exist in our neighborhood anymore, might be entirely responsible for the strange collection of moons we see today orbiting giant planets like Jupiter and Uranus. It's this massive mystery, and the evidence has been hiding right above us in the night sky this whole time.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really get this mystery, we first have to ask a pretty simple question. Why are our outer moons so weird? Because when astronomers look closely at the moons orbiting Jupiter and Uranus, they realize these satellites, which they call irregular moons, simply do not behave the way a peacefully formed solar system would dictate. They're total rebels. They completely break the rules of planetary formation. They spin the wrong way, they sit at these weird, odd angles, and they just do not fit that neat, orderly picture of the universe we usually expect.
And that brings us right to the core of the problem. You know that textbook solar system we all learn about in middle school? The peaceful, orderly one where moons form from a neat disk of dust and gas, just orbiting perfectly around the equator of their host planets? Yeah, well, the reality is incredibly chaotic. Out there, we've got swarms of irregular moons with wildly unpredictable orbits. And this stark contrast establishes a massive scientific knowledge gap, because something huge must have happened to shatter that textbook piece and create the chaotic reality we actually observe. Which leads us to Section 1, a cosmic cold case, investigating the past. Now, what's really interesting about this is that we basically have to treat the current bizarre state of these outer moons as a billions of years old crime scene, because the fingerprints left behind, they're undeniable. See, a normal moon, one that formed peacefully alongside its planet, has a nice circular orbit and aligns neatly with the planet's equator. Our own moon mostly plays by those roles. But then, look at the fingerprints of these outer, irregular moons around Jupiter and Uranus. They have retrograde orbits. That means they are literally orbiting backward, totally against the rotation of their planet. They're tilted at bizarre extreme angles, and they travel in these highly elliptical, stretched-out paths. These aren't just minor quirks, right? These specific traits are absolute proof that these moons did not form peacefully. They were captured during some kind of massive, ancient cosmic incident.
So, Section 2. Meet the ghost planet, our prime suspect.
So what exactly is a ghost planet? Also known as a rogue planet, this is a theoretical world that existed in the very early days of our solar system. Based on the latest models, we're likely talking about a massive ice giant, similar in makeup to Uranus or Neptune. But instead of settling into a nice, polite orbiter on the sun, this massive body acted like a giant gravitational wrecking ball. It fundamentally altered the architecture of our cosmic neighborhood just by throwing its weight around, disturbing literally everything in its path, and then, poof, it just vanished entirely. There's no trace of the planet itself today. We just have the chaos it left behind.
And that chaos brings us to its primary legacy. This ghost planet is actually now the leading theoretical solution for how Jupiter and Uranus acquired their chaotic moon configurations. It definitely wasn't a slow, gentle process. This single, lost entity acted as the grand architect of those outer moons, violently carving out the bizarre orbital paths we see today. But you're probably wondering, how exactly did a single planet manage to pull all of this off? Let's get into Section 3, playing cosmic billiards. The mechanics of chaos. To really understand this giant game of billiards, we need to rewind the clock. Looking at the timeline, you can see just how unstable our early solar system actually was. 4.5 billion years ago, the whole shebang started as a swirling cloud of dust and gas. Pretty standard. But fast forward to 4 billion years ago, and things get messy. The giant planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, they weren't just locked in place. They were actually migrating, shifting their orbits, pulling on each other. By 3.9 billion years ago, we hit this period of extreme orbital instability. In fact, modern astrophysical models suggest the math of our solar system only works if there was an extra planet in the mix during this migration. The gravitational balance was just incredibly fragile. So the table was set, the balls were clustered, and the environment was perfectly primed for our ghost planet to enter the scene. Let's see how this builds. Think of this missing ice giant like dropping a heavy bowling ball right into the middle of a billiards game. Step 1. The ghost planet approaches the outer solar system, bringing a massive gravitational field with it. Step 2. All that gravity heavily destabilizes millions of local space rocks, icy comets, and asteroids that were otherwise just, minding their own business. It scatters them in absolutely every direction. And finally, step 3, as these rocks are sent flying wildly out of their normal paths, the immense gravity of Jupiter and Uranus catches them, kind of like a net. But because they were caught mid-flight, coming in from all different directions, they became irregular moons with those weird, backward, highly stretched orbits we talked about earlier.
Which brings us to Section 4, the missing planet's fate. Where is it now?
Right, so we have to address the obvious elephant in the room here. Where did it go? It was essentially a billions of years old hit and run, because in this game of cosmic billiards, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The exact same gravitational forces that allowed the ghost planet to scatter space rocks and push giant planets around, well, they acted right back upon it. The immense combined gravitational slingshot of Jupiter and Saturn likely accelerated this ghost planet so fast that it actually reached escape velocity. It was forcefully ejected from our solar system entirely, banished to drift alone in the dark void of interstellar space forever. It caused massive planetary pinball, and then it was just gone.
Moving on to Section 5, rewriting solar system history, a new perspective.
So the crucial point is, why does this matter to you and me? Well, first, it reminds us that the seemingly stable, calm night sky we look up at, it's kind of an illusion. It's actually built on an ancient foundation of violent planetary pinball. Order was born out of utter chaos. And second, perhaps more importantly, it shows us that our understanding of the universe is never truly finished. It is constantly being rewritten by new evidence. I mean, a few irregular moons orbiting Jupiter might seem like a really small detail, right? But tracing back their origins forces us to invent entirely new chapters of our solar system's history, including the existence of a massive ice giant that literally nobody had ever accounted for before.
And that leaves us with this final, staggering thought. If a whole entire planet can just vanish without a trace, leaving behind only the gravitational echoes of its destruction, what else is hiding in our cosmic history? What other invisible ghosts shaped the Earth, the Sun, and the very existence of life, only to disappear into the dark? Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.